Good day, folks. Welcome to another episode of Stuff and Such. Today we're going to do a little video on the difference between the Husqvarna 272 and the 268 and the Husqvarna 61, 66, and 266. A lot of people wonder about the differences in converting and what they'll be running into for issues. So I thought I'd do a little video for you to explain a few of the differences, a few of the troubles you run into, how to somewhat get around them, and the different parts and pieces you'll be needing. Before we get too far into this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button that's just down there below on the bottom left, right? My left, your right? Anyways, hit that button, let's get going. What we have here is 262 saws, 266s, and I thought I'd just go over them and show you a few of the differences. So this one here currently has a 272 head on it that I've never actually ran. Because I just kind of got taken up with other projects. So the heads and everything bolt on nice. So one of the first things you'll run into for a difference, the carburetor requires a different plastic manifold. They made it so that you can use one bolt to connect the entire assembly. So this is the new style, 272, 268. And what they do is they use a full block assembly. So what that means is that the entire block carburetor boot is all held with one single bolt directly to the cylinder head. The old style, they bolted the manifold to the piston or to the cylinder, and then you would then mount, and the manifold had screws in it. So long story short, for that issue you'll need to get a new manifold and some upgraded longer bolts. Next, quite important issue. So what they did when they shifted into the newer models with the higher up and in my opinion the nicer looking top covers, they relocated the mounting holes, which sort of sucks. So on this saw, on the regular 266, this is the regular mounting hole, and behind it is where I drilled a hole through the cover, or through the housing, and then this bolt here is actually holding a little metal tapped backer. Yeah, so as you can see here, this little bolt here is sandwiching this little steel spacer that's threaded, so then I can now mount the new top cover on. And also on by the muffler here, the front hole is the original, and I drilled and tapped this one. There's barely enough meat, but there's just enough. Now you sometimes can run a regular top cover on these saws. I'll see if I have one. Now you can run the old style top covers on them, which leads into the next difference is the mufflers. The newer style muffler uses a different design than these, but the old style does still fit. On this side over here, is a new style muffler. Now the difference between the old style muffler and the new style is the mounting system and also the height. So first we'll cover the mounting system. The mounting system for the old style is they have little acorn nuts on them on long studs, and the studs mount into the cylinder head. It was kind of a sort of a bad design, but it worked okay. If you didn't properly torque them, what happened is that the studs worked loose in the head, and then it would wear out the threads. The other new style is what they did is in these holes, so in the back of the cylinder, you reach in there with an Allen key, and there's a fairly short stud. It's kind of a better design, in my opinion. So in comparison, that's how that system worked. Is it had long studs with acorns on it. On the new style muffler, it's kind of tricky to see, but on the new style muffler, it's pretty well flush with the top of the head. Whereas on the old one, it sits down about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. And it doesn't seem like much, but what happens with the old style covers is if your cylinder starts to get packed up with sawdust a little bit, then it runs a little bit hotter, airflow doesn't flow as nicely, and what ends up happening is that you start to melt your top cover. So there's that to consider also. So that's pretty well it for the differences. I'm sure there's a couple more that I'm not quite thinking of at the moment. I know the ignition coils are different, but it does. The newer style only has one, whereas the old style has two. I'm sure there's different terminology for coils, but anyways, that doesn't really matter too much when just doing a cylinder swap. It'll still run perfectly fine. So other than that, there's not too much difference. So I always kind of ask the question, I did it a bunch of times, and when you're young, I guess maybe a little more interested in doing simple stuff like that, but for me I had 66 cc's and I had 72. So unless you're getting either an OEM head with an OEM piston, or also you're getting a high quality aftermarket cylinder, to me it never made sense. I ran a bunch of them. I think I ran probably 5 or 6 over my period of time of running this series, just cause, and they never really made much compression. Like they were always about like 130, 140. And they always seemed sort of lazy to me. I kind of think the porting had something to do with it. So it never made sense to me to go from a really good quality cylinder head that ran, I don't know, 180 psi on a good day. Although I got one that I just showed you, it was retarded, it had 205 psi. I'm kind of interested in putting that on a cylinder again, or on a saw again, and see if it still does that, or if it was just a perfect matchup. So in my opinion, it's kind of a waste of time, and you're not really getting any benefits, and you're kind of going backwards in the way of quality. So I say if you own a 266 or a 61 or a 66 that's all that still has a decent head on it, but it's getting a little loose in the compression, throw a new piston and ring in it and it'll be fine. So I'm going to, just for interest's sake and kind of document it, I'm actually going to go ahead and build a 266 sleeper saw for you with that 52 millimeter piston big bore kit, the 272. Basically just to kind of document and show what what the issues where I sort of outlined were, and how to work around them, and if I notice any more that I've forgotten about, then we'll see them in those upcoming series. So go ahead and subscribe, that way you'll get notified. Actually, you gotta hit the bell button to get notified. That way when I start putting out videos on rebuilding and making that sleeper saw with the big bore kit on it, you'll get notified, and then you can kind of come along with me. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed yourselves. If you have any questions or concerns, or want to just say hi, leave a comment below. I'll look for it and try and get back to you. Thanks guys.